I think it's time to address certain spiritual religious issues, and that is the method of misdirecting of sins and addressing certain sins but not others. And I'm talking about and hinting the original sin. They seem to want to use scriptures to gaslight and to misdirect folks to focus on certain sins. Mainly, well, not mainly, but one of it is LGBTQIA plus. They love to use certain scriptures for that, against that, as well as going for self gratification. The only scriptures that really get close to the original sin is adultery, committing adultery. But we need to address the root problem. The root of it all is original sin. And conquering that sin, we literally conquer all the other sin because that's where all the other sins were birthed from. It started with Adam and Eve, the first humans. But even before that, it started with creation, forcing other beings into existence, non-constituent and unsanctioned. It started with the angels, and it trickled down from there, creating the good as well as creating the adversary. And we know if you do research, you'll learn about all the different stories and branches of it. Do your own research, but I'm gonna keep it short. That is the basic gist of it all: is that we tackle that original sin, and we stop or encourage others to conquer that and to stop procreating. We will literally conquer all other sins. That's just as simple as possible. I don't think I am relaying a topic that is too advanced that anyone can understand. I think anyone can understand it. It's very simple. It's really simple math. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Like, but religious individuals, especially ones with a lot of influence, money, resources, they have to be the ones to do the actual right thing and conquer what needs to actually be conquered instead of tickling people's ears with fancy scriptures like prospering and no weapon formed against you. Like, that's good to use scriptures to encourage. I'm not saying not to. What I'm saying is that it shouldn't be the only thing. You should be also trying to relay the message like it's supposed to be relayed to encourage others to be better, to become a new creature, and to conquer that original sin. You kind of doing it already with the semen retention and celibacy, kind of abstinence, but it's like piggybacking. And then more than half of the individuals like to try to go for the other sins as a method of gaslighting. Because let's face it, you're misdirecting in some cases because you emphasizing just that. We barely or rarely ever see anything involving encouraging people to conquer their original sin. We want to address everything else but that. It's time to address that because that is the answer towards permanent salvation. That will eliminate everything else. So that is the actual solution to the problem. The other sins are more like symptoms, kind of like with the medical field. They like to treat the symptoms instead of the root problem. They do eventually, but I'm just saying it's like part of the practice for them to tackle the symptoms. Sometimes they get to the root. Sometimes they wait a while to get to the root of the problem. It's all about that the practice of the individual professional. The same thing go for religion or anything else. you have the choice to choose to tackle what needs the root problem that needs to be tackled, or continue to try to tackle what you consider the problem, what really is not. It's just a symptom of the problem. You can argue that it's not the problem, but they make it the problem to gaslight you from what is actually the problem. You keep placing spirits into bondage, into flesh, into sinful flesh, based on the terminology and the meaning and definitions within the religious, spiritual realm of definition of what is sin, or how we all got about. So if you tackle what is continuing the loop of sin, you tackle the problem. And I would think that that is doing the will of Christ, is doing the will of a benevolent being that supposedly supposed to be against sin. So if you're going to tackle anything and put most of your focus and efforts on anything, it should be original sin. It's time for you to stop misdirecting and address what's actually going to save humanity.